Welcome on into the semifinal edition to Over and Back. I'm your host, Dan Alexander, and this guy I've been trying to get on the show all season long, so I'm pumped. My fellow barbecue master is finally joining the show. We got Jordie from Barstool. You can follow him nice and easy at Jordie Barstool. He's the host of the Crease Dive. You can follow them at the Crease Dive. And as I alluded to, the dude who I have learned more about barbecuing from than any show I've ever watched. Jordie, how's it going, brother?
Doing great. You got a couple more weeks left here this season. So it's nice to be on here finally.
Absolutely, man. And I will not take up everybody's time asking you for barbecue tips. I'll save that for the timeline, and I'll just keep bothering you with those as it goes on. But you can also check your stuff out at Meat Sweats Barbecue. Do you guys have anything rocking for the Crease Dive that you guys want to chat about before we start getting into some of these games?
No, I mean, pretty much just the usual, just still plugging away here. I mean, it's a long season going from college to the PLL. So, we're pumped for these next 2 weekends here, but it'll definitely be nice to cap off that lacrosse season. So just, new episodes coming out before the weekends, but that's about it. I'm here to talk barbecue all you want. So, if you ask me a question, I'll go off on a tangent. So
maybe we'll just we'll save that to the end. We'll give the people the actionable info, and then if you really want to stick around for the real actionable info, I mean, you just see the videos this guy's posting all the time. He knows what the hell he's doing. He also knows lacrosse just as good as anybody out there right now. So let's get into it, my guy. We're going to start off with our quick sticks here and get into the games. We'll start with this Whips and Water Dogs game. Whips 1.5-point favorites in this one. Money line favorites, to no surprise, minus 180. Your take back on the Water Dogs plus 140. You can get all those numbers over at Barstool Sportsbook. I don't know, man. This matchup feels like, yes, okay, the Whips, they lost to the Water Dogs last time they played. Maybe it's payback time, but this matchup played 4 times in the last 2 seasons. All these games had Whips 1.5-point favorites, but they only covered one of those. So I don't know. How are you seeing this one breaking out just from, a kind of side perspective?
I mean, I think you look at the way that this all worked out last season, right? So you've got the Water Dogs. They come out of there with the 1 seed after the regular season. They have their bye, and then they come up against the Whip Snakes in the semifinals. I think that having that week off probably hurt the Water Dogs a little bit, right? Then you get into that nice little rest versus rust debate. It's a debate as old as time. And I'm in this league. I think that I'd opt for. I think that rust wins that debate. I think that, you're not practicing with guys every single day. You're not getting those reps. So really, what are these guys been doing over the past couple of weeks, together? I'm sure that they get on Zoom calls, talk about, game plans and stuff like that. But it's it's a while to be away from the game. Not only have the Whip Snakes not been playing the past couple of weeks, but worst case scenario, the Water Dogs not only played last week against the Atlas, but they put together a sick game. And not obviously the offense, unbelievable, putting up 19 goals against the Atlas. But then you look at, what they were able to do with the 3-man unit out the face-offs. You look at a guy like Rylan Reese really getting himself hot. Dylan Ward had a great game. So not only have the Whips been taking this time off, but they're playing against a Water Dogs team that, 1, already has the confidence of beating the Whips, and 2, played so sick last weekend and have all that confidence. So I don't know, history says, no one gets rich betting it, although people do get rich betting against the Whip Snakes. They don't cover a lot.
At least plus 1.5. That's what I mean. Is every time they win, it's one of these 1-goal games that they come from behind. So, 1.5, not a terrible look, even if you don't like the Water Dogs to win outright. You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm thinking right there. It's maybe, give the Whip Snakes a few more years before you can start betting against them on the money line in the playoffs, because they've proven that they're always going to make it to the championship game. But plus 1.5 for the Dogs. I love that.
Yeah, and the thing is too, and I hate to say, well, look at what happened last year, because really, things that happened in previous games, sure, you can use it as a starting point, but it's not the end all be all. But both of the games they faced off this year were one score games. One went the way of the Whips, one went the way of the Dogs. You go back to last year, 2-2 straight up are both of these teams as they're playing each other in 4 different matchups over the last 2 seasons. So you have a decent sample size that when these two teams play, it's usually a dogfight. It's usually a coin flip. So I'm with Jordie, dude. Give me that +1.5. You don't even have to lay much juice to do it. And, maybe we'll end up looking dumb if the Whip Snakes end up blowing them out, but that's just not been their MO. So I'm riding with you, dude. I think that +1.5 is a decent look. Anything else that you think in this game before we get to Archers and Chaos? Any players you think might be able to have some advantageous matchups? Because with the Whip Snakes, I mean, it's like, take your pick on who you think is going to go off any week. Jay Carlson can step on the field and then he's dropping a hat trick. Matt Rambo, it's whether he decides if he wants to score one week or distribute the ball. So I found it really tough trying to handicap Whips players as far as, player props or anything like that. Anything that you think, just matchup wise that could be potentially able to be taken advantage of?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that'll really show me something like early in this game is, just how easily that Michael Sowers will be able to get, that switch to a short stick defender onto him. You kind of look at the way that it happened last week against the, even just that first goal alone, just a pretty simple pick behind the cage. Sowers gets a short stick on him. All of a sudden, he has all of his hands free to, take his time, kind of assess the field, throws a nice little dish over to Kieran McCardle for an easy score. Like the moment, if you make it easy for him to get that short stick matchup, that gives him the green light to really get himself going. I think that, the Whip Snakes, they're the cream of the crop of the PLL. They're not winning all these championships for no reason. So I think, Coach Staggs and the rest of that gang will probably have them prepared for what to do with Michael Sowers. But everyone has a game plan until you actually roll out the ball. So, if he's able to get those switches, then I think that, the Whip Snakes could be in a bit of in some trouble there. But if they're able to kind of just lock him up and make life miserable for him, for, the whole game, then that'd be the one thing that I'm really looking for.
Hop in the comments. Let us know who you think could potentially be having a big day coming up this weekend in D.C. Whips versus Water Dogs. Also a great matchup. We got Archers and Chaos. Archers, the 1.5 point favorites. Chaos are doing it again, man. Win outright as Dogs last week. So now you're seeing Archers heavy money line faves -186. If you want to back Chaos on Barstool Sportsbook, +145 is your take back on that one. So I'll throw the historical trends at you after I get your thoughts on just the Chaos. Dead to rights, 2-8, and now all the 2.8% tweets start rolling in. Are they going to do this shit again, Jordie? Because I don't know if I can take it.
I mean, this is what these jackasses do. And here's the thing. First off, so Ian McKay, you're probably listening to this right now because you see everything that I say. I've never wanted to be a Chaos hater. And I don't want any words that I say to be misconstrued as such. They find a way to flip that switch. And listen, I'm not gonna be one of the guys. I had to see Andy Towers in the hallway at the semifinals last year when they were in Philly after they won to go to the championship. And I was terrified because I knew that I was talking some shit about the Chaos and they just won and he was feeling great. And I was like, I really hope that he doesn't know who I am right now and what I've been saying about this team. So I don't want to be put in that position again either. So just based off my own safety and the fact that they've done this repeatedly, I can't not go with the Chaos in this one. Am I the leader of the 2.8%? Sure. If I have to take on that honor, then I'll take on that title.
I was just shocked at the fashion. The Chaos looked like a completely different team than they did in the regular season. And even if you look at what they were doing defensively and how early they were sliding, it was a completely different look than what they were doing all season long. So do you really think there's something to that they know, hey, if we get in, that's all that matters. We can roll, because they really seemed like the team that made that run at the end of the year. And that's just what scares me betting against this team. I just feel like this Archers team has plenty of motivation coming in as well. And, it's just so tough for me to just jump off the deep end with Chaos do we just completely throw everything that happened in the regular season out the window? Because that's what it's seeming like you have to do with this squad.
It is absolutely what you have to do with this squad. And again, part of a big chunk of my reasoning behind this is because I don't want to bet against Andy Towers and then maybe have to see Andy Towers in Philly for the championship. So he's too scary of a man for me to do that. What I will say with the Chrome last weekend, I kind of mentioned this before where, as a podcaster, you know how this is. It's a hard life out here. We grind every single week. We come out here, rain or shine, whether you're sick or what, and we put in the work. Why? Because we're legends, because we're heroes, and because we do it for the people. But maybe even more so for the players. So the Chrome, you look at their top two guys in Logan Wisnauskas and Brendan Nichtern, think about how long of a year that they've had with lacrosse. Wisnauskas and Nichtern, like their season started in January. Wisnauskas leads Maryland all the way to Memorial Day weekend, wins the national championship. Brendan Nichtern, I mean, dude was at West Point. It's not really easy living at West Point, and he's leading Army on a pretty solid season. So these guys have been playing so much lacrosse even before the PLL season started. It's a long summer. So the fact that like they ran out of gas and that game did look so lopsided as it was, it was a bad look for the Chrome, but it's not like the most surprising thing ever. Yeah. I think that having like your top two guys being rookies who have been playing since January, it's like you knew that you had to run out of steam at some point. It's just like they were on full blown empty. And the Chaos took full advantage of that one. So like credit to the Chaos. I don't know if like there could have been a better matchup though for them in this game as a team who's coming into the playoffs hungry with, doubters that are pissing them off and the whole 2.8% and like your neighbor's dog shit on my yard. Like you have like all that building up against guys that are like, dude, like we've been playing lacrosse for like 8 straight months here. Like we're kind of running low on gas here. So I do think that the Chaos looked a little bit better than they maybe actually are, just because the Chrome were just, they run out of steam.
And I think part of it too was just the difference in playoff experience, right? The Chrome finally, oh my God, we got the monkey off our back. We're in the playoffs here. And they just looked like a team who was flat, where Chaos was playing loose. They were playing like, hey, we got nothing to lose. As far as this matchup goes, we'll get into some total talk here. I don't know if you have any vibes on any overs or unders this week, but Archers and Chaos, we have a decent sample size on this matchup. They've played 5 times over the last 2 seasons. The Archers were favored in every single game they played. They're 3-2 against the spread in that matchup, and straight up for what it's worth. But this season, they've had the Chaos's number 2-0 straight up and against the spread. And in this matchup, whoever wins the game usually wins it by 2 or more goals. All wins covering the spread of 1.5 in this matchup. So Jordie not wanting to fade the Chaos and what they're doing come playoff time. I'll let you know what I think about this game coming up in our best bet segment during Angle of the Week. So Jordie, let's get into a little total talk here. Stick with this Archers and Chaos game. 23.5 is the total. I talked about the 5 matchups in the last 2 years. The under in this matchup, 4-1. The only over came in the first meeting this season when it was like the 29-goal game. It was Archers getting the win in that one. I think it was like 17-12. So I think I'm not betting any totals this week, to be honest with you. But do you have any vibe on this 23.5? Think that's a little low? Think that's about right? How do you see that shaking out?
I do like the over in this one. I'm not crazy about betting overs in games that Blaze is playing in. But, and especially, with how he looked last week. But, the way that I'm seeing this game play out, like, I'm still not like sold on the Chaos as far as their settled defense goes. Their 6-on-6 defense. Like, I think if, the Archers get into these nice settled, offensive possessions, you mostly just try to run as much as you can through Tom Schreiber. Like that's the key right there. As long as you get guys like Schreiber and Fields, like those box guys really going at the start, I think that that's going to open up things for Grant and Will and Marcus and all those guys. And I think that they're just, I mean, we've watched the Archers play now, specifically like this group for, I guess 2.5 seasons, if you want to call it. And we know what they're able to do. I do think that, the chaos with how they looked last weekend and, especially with a guy like Challen Rogers really coming on over the last few weeks, I think that they have the offensive ability to keep pace with that Archers offense. So like, that Josh and Dane are going to get their points. Like no matter what you do, they're going to put up 4 or 5 points each. And then if they're really going off and you have to spend more time focusing on them, like that opens things up for a Challen Rogers to, get himself to the greasy spots, put away a few goals. That opens up, Chase Frazier. Like if Chase Frazier gets himself going, not only is he producing offensively, but like he's also going to chirp the boys. Like he's gonna, like he's a big time pest out there. Loves to let the mouth fly. Like you're like, these guys are wearing helmets on a broadcast. I don't know like how high up the camera is, but like there's probably like a good like at least 40 feet from wherever the camera's at, and you can still see his mouth running a mile a minute. And that's just gonna piss some of these guys off on the Archers. So I think that this is going to be a nice back and forth game with a lot of offensive flair to it. So I do like the over in this one.
Yeah, and the Chaos have hit some overs. Typically you see Blazing Net, it's going to be the lowest total on the board. It's no exception this week, but we already know the Archers are going to get theirs. I'm kind of with Jordie. Yeah, they can keep up. I just don't know if I can do it. I've been burnt so many times thinking, oh, this game's going to fly over. I always worry with playoff overs, but I think if I were to bet a side or a total in this one, I'd be going over that one. How about this Whips and Water Dogs team? 24.5 in this one. I'll give you some numbers before I get your thoughts. It's a pass for me again, but 4 games, like I said, the last 2 seasons, 3 of those games had this same exact total. The other was 23.5. All of them went under. So this is like a dead nut under matchup, 4-0 to the under when the Whips and Water Dogs face off. Rest versus Rust. You talked about it on our last segment. Does the Rust keep this one under, or are the boys buzzing this Sunday? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to take the easy way out of this one, but like this would be another one that I would sit out of just because. You look at those numbers and everything's telling, okay, like every single time that these guys play goes under, and you're thinking like, okay, like every time, what I've learned with this league, every time I think I know what's going to happen, every time I feel like I'm pretty confident in what I'm about to see, the exact opposite happens. So I don't want to look at these numbers and be like, yep, like everything's saying under, and then just fall into that trap of taking the under. And then all of a sudden this game ends up just exploding and we have like a 15-14 final. So again, I would sit this one out because, it does scream under. You look at their past 2 games just this year, like it's they're dog fights and goals are a little hard to come by. But again, just once you feel like what's happening in this league, the exact opposite happens.
And one of the best tools that we have as bettors, the sports books have to throw up a line on everything. Just because it's up there doesn't mean that we have to bet it. So I say this all the time. I'm like, some of the best bets that you're going to make are the ones you don't make at all. Just pass it. But hey, if you think you have a better vibe on this total, hop below in the comments and let us know which way you're going on it and why you lean that way. So it's time for everybody's favorite part, Jordie. Here we do a little angle of the week. And I'll go first because I want to get your reaction on this one. My best bet for this week, I don't feel good about it. I'm going to be the one who gives them the bulletin board material. I'm going with the Archers laying the 1.5 at -120. And the reason being, yes, last week it was so impressive what the Chaos did. I think Jordie touched upon it really well, but that was the perfect matchup for them against the Chrome. They have more experience, and they just looked like the more ready-to-go team. However, they're now playing an Archers team who not only knows how tough it is to win in the playoffs, they know how badly they don't want to lose to Chaos for the third straight year. So there's motivation there that this is the team that's bounced them in back-to-back years. This team is playing at a very high level. And yes, I'm giving bulletin board material to the Chaos, but the Archers have gotten bulletin board material all year long from people calling them frauds, saying all they do is choke. This team is buzzing right now, and I think they win the game. I think they win by margin. Give me the Archers laying the goal and a half, Jordie, and I don't even feel a little bit good about it because I know AT is going to find me and say, how you like them apples? If this one doesn't get home, you got a best bet, and what do you think about mine, man?
Again, I love the Archers. I'm a big Archers guy, and I'm rooting for, I don't know, I'm not exactly like rooting for, but it'd be nice to like kind of get that monkey off their back. I would like to see this core of Archers players stick together for a couple more seasons. And I feel like, a loss here, like then you start to kind of think about, all right, like when did we blow this thing up? So I don't hate that pick. I know that I've been, talking about the chaos this entire episode so far, but this is, these are two games where I'm perfectly like, as just a fan of the league, as a fan of lacrosse, like maybe not, my wallet won't be like thrilled with either outcome, but in both games, just like as a fan of lacrosse, I like both outcomes in both games.
Well, and you can make a case for all four of these teams. You know what I mean? Like you can come up with a handicap and a take on this game that someone could say, holy shit, you know what? Like you're right on that. Like this is a pretty damn good Final Four because you can make a case for all four of them. So I'm with you on that one. How about you? What are you putting your money on your pocket on this week? Because I'm blindly backing it with you as long as it's not chaos money line.
If you're able to find it out there, I don't care what the number is. I love Tom Schreiber total points.
Oh.
So I think that we're going to see a really great Tom Schreiber game on Sunday. I think that I mentioned this briefly before, but I think in order to really get themselves going against this chaos defense, which, again, I'm not crazy about to begin with, but I think like you need those box guys to really get it started first. So with Schreiber and with Connor Fields, and we saw Connor Fields have a huge game last weekend in the quarterfinals. We've seen Tom Schreiber have huge games against the chaos before, and then as soon as like those guys really get a little bit of damage going, then that just kind of is going to start to open up the field a little bit more for, whether it's Grant, skipping it up top to Schreiber for a quick step down, or, whether it's, Schreiber just kind of dishing one off to either Matt Moore or Marcus. Like, I think that this is going to be a game where, the Archers are really going to ride on the back of Tom Schreiber, whether it's to a win or whether it's to a close loss. And then I don't have to like fear seeing Andy Towers. That's yet to be determined. But like, regardless, I think that it's going to be a big game for 26.
Yeah, and dare I say that our best bet's a little correlated there. If Tom Schreiber does have a big game, hopefully that means the Archers are getting home and doing it at margin. Well, Jordie, this has been awesome finally having you on here, man. I love the knowledge that you bring. I love what you guys do over there with the Crease Dive. I listen every week, so keep on grinding with that great content. And the people who did stick around, we promised them a little barbecue talk. You can follow Meat Sweats Barbecue _ as well to not only see the great things that Jordie's throwing down, but hear about it as well. So Jordie, I got one question for you. I know I'm going to catch you off guard with this, but I know it's top of mind. What's one of the biggest mistakes that people do when smoking either brisket, like a lower fat cut meat? What's one of the biggest mistakes that people are making when they're smoking meats?
I would say like just what I try to do with my videos and what I try to do, whether, if anyone DMs me questions about smoking and anything related to barbecue or meat, my biggest thing that I tell everybody is like you don't follow a full blown, like you don't follow a recipe to a T. Like you don't cook based off of time and temperature. You got to cook off of, just the way that it feels, the way that it looks. Like if just kind of trust your instincts. So a lot of people you think about cooking a brisket. So the standard is going to be, you want to cook it unwrapped in the smoker until it gets to about that stall. Sometimes that stall could be at 160 degrees internal. Sometimes it could be at 170. Sometimes it could be at 180. But then you want to wrap it at the stall. Then you want to pull it off at like 203. Well, guess what? Like some briskets might not be fully done until 205. Some briskets might not be fully done. They might be done quicker, like at like 198. So, a lot of people, I think when they're, smoking for the first time, they feel comfortable with a recipe telling them exactly what to do. But in order to crush it, like you got to just go based on, screw up a few briskets for the first few times, kind of get a good feel for it. And then as soon as you start cooking based off of feel, it's going to be a whole lot easier than just going based off time and temp.
Man, I love it. We may just have to start a separate show because I'll tell you what I'm going to be doing because this just about does it for Over and Back. But come Philly next weekend, I'm going to take my ass over to Philadelphia, head my ass back to where the smoker's at because I got to taste some of the shit that you're dropping down, man, because it is, you eat with your eyes, but dear God, I got to get fresh out of that smoker. So, Jordie, appreciate you coming on, man. Again, let people know where they can find you and where they can hear more from you because you're doing a great job, brother.
Yeah, I mostly spend all my days on Twitter. I've recently found out that like Twitter's not the greatest place for social media, and I heard that TikTok is much bigger. But I spend a lot of time.
I ain't leaving.
I'm never leaving Twitter. So I'm Jordie Barstool on there. You can also follow us at the Crease Dive on Twitter and Instagram. We're at the Crease Dive on there. So new episode should be out on Friday for the semifinal preview show.
And that does it for us. Make sure you make sure you subscribe so you never miss out on any videos here. And I'm going to be out in D.C., so if you see me walking around, come and say hello. I know Jordie's probably going to be out there in Philly, so come and find him as well. Best of luck on your bets. Bets responsibly, and we'll talk to you championship weekend here on Over and Back.